Hi, I'm Larry Magid, CEO of ConnectSafely. In this video, I speak with Jacqueline Boucher, who is the Chief Safety Officer of Snapchat. The company recently did some research, a pretty impressive survey, interviewing thousands of young people and their parents about online civility and safety.
So we actually conducted an online survey of more than 9,000 respondents in 6 countries. And we talked to teens ages 13 to 17, Gen Z, young adults ages 18 to 24, and parents of teenagers aged 13 to 19. And we conducted this research in 6 countries: Australia, France, Germany, India, the US, and the UK. And we asked them about their experiences in life online, basically. We asked them about risks that they were exposed to and risks that they experienced, the relationships that they're building and the relationships they have with their parents or caregivers or other trusted adults. And also, we asked them to reflect on certain statements, what I call sentiment statements, that all boiled up to the production of an index of digital well-being. We calculated an index reading for each of the 6 geographies individually, and then one reading across all 6. And the reading for across all 6 geographies in this inaugural index is 62. So that's on a scale of 0 to 100. It shows that we can continue to try to propel youth across this continuum of more positive, engaging, satisfying online experiences.
What did you discover in terms of risk, and how does it differ between the teenagers that you surveyed and the young adults?
Research was conducted over several weeks last spring of 2022. In terms of risk experience or risk exposure, of those youth that were surveyed, over 6,000 of them, 76%, so just over 3/4, told us that they had experienced some risk online over that period. And actually, among the young adults, the 18 to 24-year-olds, their incident of overall risk experience was higher at 83% to the teens, 68%. So the risk is out there. They are falling victim to some of these types of risks, whether they be sexual risks or exposure to hate speech or threats of violence, bullying, harassment. We asked about 14 different risks and their exposure. Some of these risks, Larry, they're actually kind of normalizing, if you will. Things like fake news and misinformation. Almost 2/3 of those whom we surveyed said that they're kind of brushing things off as bad behavior. And that's one of the reasons that they're not reporting this kind of conduct to online platforms or even trusted adults or others.
I worry about normalizing risk when they happen so often that you just don't take them seriously. But there seems to be a difference depending upon the type of risk.
With the more personal risks, like a sexual risk or something to that effect, they are taking action. But in things like fake news, misinformation, here they're basically saying, that's just somebody posting something that might be offensive to someone. They say it's no big deal. It's just the person expressing an opinion. So they're kind of normalizing those less personal risks and shrugging them off. Whereas the more personal the risk became, that was actually reflected in their digital well-being. If they were exposed to more personal risks, they had lesser or lower digital well-being online.
What did you learn from the parents you surveyed?
What I really like about this research is parents were really engaged. The parents that we asked to complete this survey were actually quite accurate in how they predicted whether their teens were exposed to risk online. So we asked them this one question that I love. I trust my child to act responsibly online and don't feel the need to actively monitor them. We had 78% of parents tell us that they trusted their teenagers and that they agreed with that statement either completely, a lot, or a little. Now, when we also ask them about how they check in or how they might keep up to date with what their teens are experiencing online. Now, mind you, these are parents of teens ages 13 to 19. So there are some adults in there as well. And asking them to respond to the statement, I regularly check in with my child about their online activities and ask if they are experiencing any problems. Those parents of teens, we had 7 out of 10 parents of teens, 71%, saying that they, again, agree with that statement, completely, a lot, or a little. Now, the parents of the adults, it was more like 54%. So just over half of them are still checking in with what their teens might be doing online. But this is exactly what we at SNAP are trying to foster with our new family center. So we're trying to strike that right balance between teens' privacy and giving them that sense of autonomy with, hey, parents need some insight into who their teens are connecting with on the platform. So I would really encourage your listeners and your viewers to really have a look at SNAP's new Family Center and see that it's a way to learn about who your teens are talking with, who they're communicating with on Snapchat, who their friends are, the ability to report suspicious accounts or people that you might not know, and engage and have robust conversations about life online.
Before I ask the next question, I want to make a couple of brief comments. First of all, I'm really happy to see that parents are so engaged with their children's activity online. That's really great news and counter to what some people think is the case. So good for you for bringing that out. And second of all, about your notion of parents checking in with their older teens who are actually young adults. Well, I have kids that are past their 20s already, and I still check in with them. I don't supervise them, but I talk with them. And the bottom line is that the work that we did together when they were children, when they were young teens, really paid off in terms of how they act as adults. So remember, we're not just raising children, we're raising adults. But my question I really want to know is, you've been at this for a while. Even before you came to SNAP, you were looking at online risks. What are some of the long-term trends?
Unfortunately, some of the risks are getting a bit more severe. They are getting more dangerous. We're seeing that across the entire tech ecosystem. So you may recall, of course, Larry, from way back when, it was about phishing scams, it was about spam, some of these lesser, more kind of annoying issues, as opposed to now, these issues can be very grave and very serious. We're talking about child sexual exploitation and abuse. We're talking about child online grooming for sexual purposes. We're talking about sexploitation. We're talking about exposure to hate speech or terrorist content or violent extremist content. As these risks, as we saw, became more severe in this current research, teens were a little more reluctant to come forward to their parents or their caregivers or their trusted adults to tell them what was going on. That said, 62% of parents said that their teens came forward and told them when they had experienced a risk online. That's really positive. But again, we've got to make sure that we're seeing that no matter what the risk is. There's no shame, there's no embarrassment, there's no judgment. We really have to just be there for these youth when they come forward with an issue. And that goes for platforms, that goes for parents, trusted adults, caregivers, law enforcement, NGOs, everyone.